Why not? I remember when I started really making money, at least I thought I was back then, in my late 20s. Yeah, I had been working since 21, being hired out of every internship. I was doing great. And finally, I got my big job. My first paycheck, I bought an Omega watch to show myself I deserve this. But then instead of like investing or anything like that, I went shopping. I went to Nordstrom's, Saks Fifth Avenue. I was buying handbags, shoes, clothes, and more clothes, and MAC makeup, and all of this. I don't know where the money went. I was buying friends drinks and dinners. I wasn't stupid and I wasn't irresponsible and I was a professional and I was being known as a professional, a little notoriety. I was respected and yet I was in debt. I found myself in debt in about a year. By the second year, I thought, I need help. I went to a financial counselor. She said I needed to get a second or third job. I couldn't do that. I worked a 12-hour job. It was supposed to be 8 hours, but I always worked overtime. And no, I had to work out. I had a life. Okay, that sounds stupid, but that's how I thought at 27. But I'm like, I can't work a second job. They know me by my first job, and they're going to be wondering, what are you doing here? I didn't want to work a gig back then, but I was starting to contemplate it. And the only other answer she had was to declare bankruptcy. I couldn't believe it. At 27, I was going to declare bankruptcy. I knew somebody else who had declared bankruptcy, and he said, go for it, Ronnie. I did it, blah, blah, blah. He was also in his early 30s. I was just about to, and then finally, I was so embarrassed. I went to my mom and I said, look, she marched me down to the credit union. She was a nurse. She belonged to a union and she belonged to this credit union. She co-signed the loan for me, but she said, you're paying it back. And I did. They paid off my debt, and little by little, I paid them back through my paychecks. But she started teaching me financial habits. And that was more than just balancing my checkbook and looking at my budget. My mom was really good with money and she was really good with investing and she was just really good at it. But she never taught me any of that, or maybe I just wasn't receptive to it. That's that's my history. So I get it. I wasn't dumb. I just didn't know any better. Fast forward, I'm now a coach. And in the past few years, I have coached about 4 women, held a summit on this with somebody else who's a financial planner, and one man, very smart people, professionals, bad financial habits. And I was talking to a financial planner yesterday. She and I were talking about collaborating, and she was saying the same thing, that her clients just don't know any better. They're business people and they're living by paying the business first. Anyway, this whole conversation led to financial habits. She was asking me about financial habits. There are daily habits. It's not what we think about when we think about habits. We think about, I don't know, working out, eating right, taking care of ourselves, but we don't really think about daily consistent habits. Yes, there are daily consistent financial habits. There are also habits. You're in the habit of how you do certain things in a certain way when you're handling money, in investing, in budgeting, in your quarterly, yearly, doing your taxes. You can get into the habit of whatever, fill in the blank. So there are financial habits and a financial habitual way of thinking. Some people call it money mindset. It is not woo woo. It is far from that. It is so practical. So, anyway, I decided to post on that this week and talk a little bit about financial habits. Again, the smartest, brightest, most successful people may not have the best financial habits. So, please leave your thoughts and your questions about this in the comments. Let's share. I do deal with financial habits. They exist because we all need to look at it. It's about not just our business and our bank account. It is about that. It is about those, but it's also about your business, your career, your family, your home, your investing, what you want in life. If you want to travel, financial security, your retirement, how you live, it's your life. Remember, your habits are you and you are your habits. Your finances are your financial habits. All right, talk soon. Yay.